Hello and welcome to episode 4 in this series of videos where I basically share my journey over the last, I don't know how many, 20, 30 years, share what I've learned, what I'm learning now, and all of that with the hope that it's of some value to you and maybe provide you with some inspiration or ideas of something that you might want to do as a positive change within your own life. So there we go. Firstly, an apology. This video is a bit late. It was due on Sunday because I wanted to post twice a week. But I was having a bit of a difficulty with it. And the reason I think I was having a difficulty with it is I realised that what I was trying to do, the theme of the video was sharing how William and Hannah had come about and what I'd learned as a result of all of that. And of course the problem is what I was trying to do was summarise 2.5 years worth of learning into a 15, 20, 30 minute video. And that's just never going to work. And it was pinging around all over the place. I think you'd need a PhD to even follow what I was doing and where the timelines were. And it just really wasn't working. And I've gone back to the drawing board. I've had a little bit of a think. And what I've decided to do is to break that journey down into much smaller chunks. So what I'll do is I'll discuss a particular part of my journey with William Hannah Limited and the creation of it, in the hope that I can actually impart a little bit more knowledge and experience that's of more value to you, rather than just trying to whistle through the whole thing in 1 or 2 videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this video with the Eureka moment. And there was, I suppose, a Eureka moment. But before I get on to that, a bit of background. I talked before about the fact that I'd left my corporate role and I was trained to become a coach, and I was trying to build a coaching business. And what I was doing, I was making lots of notes. And this is my moleskin. And what I was trying to do was come up with all these really great ideas. And it really was brilliant, and I enjoyed very much writing and sketching out these ideas and drawing things out, and I'd, sitting in coffee shops with a really nice pen and doing all of that lovely stuff. And I was finding it was working, but the problem was the nature of the notebook was that it just didn't fit with my mind. So I'm making notes, I'll fill a page, a couple of days later I'll have another idea, I'll go back, no room, can't put any more information there. And especially the type of person I am, I was making notes. I make a beautiful page of notes, might even do some drawings, and then the next day it looked like a chihuahua had got hold of a packet of crayons, and it looked awful. And what do? Do you leave it in there, spoiling the rest of the notebook? Do you rip it out, leaving a jaggedy little edge? And I got all that going on in my mind. And then one evening I was sort of like sitting on the sofa late at night and thinking about all these notes and ideas, and it occurred to me that what I really needed was a notebook with replaceable pages. And a little something went off, and I just thought, oh, that's a good idea, and surely if I want it, then other people must want it as well. But of course you assume that there are notebooks out there that meet the bill. So I started surfing, and there were plenty of notebooks that did allow you to add new pages, take new pages out, exactly as I wanted to do. But I didn't really like any of them. They just weren't right for me. I had a certain vision in my head of what I wanted, and I just couldn't find anything that matched that. And in the best traditions of the Make It Society, I thought, well, I might as well start making my own. And at the back of my mind at this time, I got this idea floating around that if I need it, then surely other people must need it too. And I mentioned Marianne Cantwell and her book Be a Free Range Human in the last video. And one of the things that really hit home from that book was where she was talking about, if you are thinking of starting a business and you've got this thing that you enjoy doing, it doesn't matter how narrow the niche is. Given the power of the internet and the fact that you're reaching pretty much the whole planet, your little tiny niche that wouldn't sustain anything locally, actually multiply it by a couple of billion people, and all of a sudden that niche is blown wide apart. So, there is always going to be a market if you make the right product, the right service, the right whatever it might be. If you get it right and you really target and appeal to one particular audience, there are pockets of that audience all over the world. So I've got all this flowing around the back of my head. And I got this idea that it might also be nice to make something. I'd worked in a corporate role. Most of my experience was around sort of, a lot of it was pushing emails and filling spreadsheets. But, my past experience, I'd worked with people, and I just had this feeling that I'd like to make something. I'd like to create something, have a product that was mine. So all of this was coming together, and I decided to start messing around with different designs. I tried to think of inventing my own way to hold the pages in, and that didn't go very well. I found ways that would hold them in, but just really the writing experience wasn't that great. And the whole point of creating a new notebook would be, you've got to do something with the writing experience that it's as good as or better than anything else out there. So I came across discbound systems, and I'd not really sort of come across them before. I know that they're big in various countries, but I'd never seen a discbound notebook. Came across them, thought, gosh, that's genius. And so what a great idea. Wasn't perfect, didn't exactly do what I wanted to do. I had this vision of a notebook in my head. But there seemed to be some promise there. So I started experimenting, and this is the first, technically the first ever William Hanna notebook. And it's one that I hacked together out of an old notebook that I got lying around, put some discs in it, played with the paper, and thought, even for something as sort of kindergarten, school child creation as that, I could tell that I'd got something, that there was an idea here, and if I could make it, a really nice luxury notebook, but with this fabulous ability to add and remove pages, then I thought I'd be onto something. So I started with that one, and I sort of played and I used it for a little while, and then I had various iterations, and I've got them here actually. And there's sort of like I was playing around with, same sort of theme, sort of, the rings in the notebook. Moving pages around. I sort of thought I wanted an elastic at that stage. I thought about ways to make a feature of the rings, but all of this time, my pretty limited craft skills were getting challenged, and I was quite enjoying it. I was finding ways to laminate this faux leather stuff onto cardboard, and then finding ways to attach the rings into notebooks so that there was some that it would sort of hold up to some sort of use. Different ways to try and do something with an elastic. Look at that for a nice gaudy green coloured one. So that sort of process went on for a while. But all the time I was conscious of the fact that I was finding these notebooks really useful. I was using them all the time, and I had this ability to sort of make my notes and keep them, and then take them away and file them. And just as an aside, this archive here, this archive set here, has got all of my notes in it from when I was planning and thinking about and creating the William Hanna notebook, because I was doing everything on paper and using these notebooks, and then of course later on I've come to file them away in one of our own archive sets. But that sort of process there is where I'm really going to finish this video, because what I just wanted to sort of talk around was this idea that we all have ideas, and unless you're writing them down, and it doesn't have to be one of our notebooks, any notebook, any piece of paper, write these ideas down, because I think it's the getting of the ideas out onto paper that not only makes them stronger in your mind, but then it's almost like, I don't know, some sort of magic that those ideas seem to work together. And I might have had an idea for a notebook, I might have had an idea for a luxury range of products for professional men, and I might have had an idea about sort of man bags and leather products, and I was writing all these things down in my notebook, and somehow either getting them out organised them in my mind or whatever, but they started to come together. So you go for notebook, you go for high quality luxury item, you go for leather, and these things are all joining together. and ultimately they became the William Hanna Notebook. So I think the key learning I wanted to share from this video is just make notes. Make notes of all these ideas that you're having, write it down. Even if you're making the same note 2, 3, 4 days running, I think there's something in that. I think there's something in the fact that if this idea won't go away, even though you've written it down, then it's got some power behind it. But I think it's the getting them out onto paper, getting them written down, flicking back through them, that is sparking that creative idea. So if you're in a position where you'd like to do something either as a full-time career or just as a little side hustle, I love that term, side hustle, because I think go back a few years and I probably would have done that, where I was working in my corporate role, but was looking for something that was a little bit more, and I could have done something on the side, but we digress. So I think if you're having ideas or you're having desires to do something like this, write those ideas down, get them down on paper, draw pictures, even if you're terrible at art like me, but just get them down on paper. And then when you've got them down on paper, I think that's when the magic starts to happen. So that's it for this video. That's how I came up with my very first original idea for William Hanna Limited and the first few stages of it. Next time I'm going to talk to you about how it went from these kitchen sink prototypes into something that was a bit more real as a concept, and I'm going to talk you through some of those processes that I went through. But that's for next time, and I'm hoping to get back on track, and I should put that video up at the weekend. So that's it really. Just to say thank you very much for watching, and if you think this is of value or might be of value to you in the future, please subscribe so you'll know that new videos are coming along. And if you think that something in this video, one of the other videos, might help someone that you know, then please forward it on to them, and hopefully they'll become a subscriber too. So thank you very much, and I will speak to you soon.